evening, ladies and gentlemen. On your screens is the image of the day. A picture that underlines the strength of India's diplomacy in the middle of a global crisis. The Indian LPG tanker Shivalik today reached Mundra Port in Gujarat. This after successfully crossing the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most sensitive energy choke point right now. The ship carries over 45,000 metric tons of LPG, enough to fill more than 30 lakh domestic cylinders, and arrives at a time when gas shortage fears have triggered worldwide panic. Several countries are struggling with blocked supply lines, but India has managed to secure safe passage for its ships. Shivalik is one of the two LPG carriers cleared to cross the strait. The second tanker, Nanda Devi, is expected to dock at the Mundra Port tomorrow morning, anytime between 7 and 9 a.m. Together, these two ships will provide days' worth of imports that we need. In addition, Indian-flagged crude carrier Jug Ladki is also being escorted out of the Gulf of Oman. With the smooth passage of these vessels, hopes for passage being cleared for the remaining 22 Indian vessels have now risen. The government says diplomatic efforts are on to ensure all Indian ships and seafarers stranded near Hormuz return back to Indian shores safe and sound.
All Indian seafarers in Persian Gulf area are safe. No incident has been reported in last 24 hours. And we are in the ministry and in the DG shipping, we are keeping continuous watch on the situation. We are in touch with each vessel and its crew. 22 vessels, as was reported on Saturday also. 22 Indian flagged vessels with 611 Indian seafarers remain in the west of the Strait of Hormuz in Persian Gulf.
The developments underline one thing very clearly. India is walking a diplomatic tightrope, and so far it is managing to keep its balance with remarkable precision. The latest crossings come 2 days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian and raised the issue of unhindered transit of ships carrying oil and gas. Sources say the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S Jaishankar, had been in constant touch with his counterparts in the region, holding discussions with several countries, including the UAE, to secure the release. As the ships head to Indian shores, Dr. S Jaishankar says it is an example of what diplomacy can achieve. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has openly stated that Hormuz is closed only for its enemies and their allies, a clear signal that India is not being counted as one. United States Energy Secretary has acknowledged that India and Iran have worked out an understanding, and Israel also appreciates India's first approach.
India is doing what is best for India, and that means that we are going to have the continuation of an amazing relationship that we have elevated to a special strategic partnership. We're going to implement more than 17 agreements we have signed with India during the historic visit of Prime Minister Modi to Israel. And of course, India will pursue its interests through diplomacy.
The Modi Sarkar is simultaneously engaging Tehran, Washington and Tel Aviv, and has succeeded in being on the right side in each of these cases. Fingers crossed. India has managed to cushion the fuel shock so far, unlike China that has announced its biggest retail fuel price hike in the last 4 years, or Japan that has already begun releasing its strategic oil reserves, even as bigwigs like New Zealand, Australia and Germany pull emergency triggers. India has avoided any such drastic steps. No petrol or diesel price hike, no fuel restrictions and no tapping into strategic reserves just yet for India. And yet, raising the issue in Rajya Sabha, leader of opposition in the upper house, Mallikarjun Kharge, said that the crisis has exposed the government's pathetic management.
अगर सरकार को ये पता था कि एलपीजी इंपोर्ट्स संकट में पड़ेगा तो अल्टरनेटिव अरेंजमेंट क्यों नहीं किए गए? सभापति जी, ये संकट हमारे प्रबंधन की दयनीय हालत ही नहीं बल्कि फॉरेन पॉलिसी और एनर्जी पॉलिसी की कमजोरी भी ये बताता है।
ये बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है कि ऐसी परिस्थिति में भी ये राजनीति से बाज नहीं आते हैं और उनको ऐसे क्राइसिस में देश के साथ खड़े होने के बजाय इस विषय को उठा करके वो देश में खलबली लाने के प्रयास करते हैं, देश में एक अराजकता लाने का प्रयास करते हैं।
The BJP's allegation of Congress deliberately trying to create chaos is not without reason. From the party using a 2011 image of people lining up for cylinders to fuel panic over LPG shortage, to the Congress spokesperson Pawan Khera falsely claiming that Shivalik and Nanda Devi were not delivering fuel to India but were headed to the United States. Team Rahul Gandhi's track record has been tainted, and now the opposition also faces the allegations of hoarding cylinders, well, in these drastic times.
कांग्रेस का नेता सिलेंडर की होर्डिंग में पकड़ा गया है और इन्होंने होर्डिंग की है और ये जनता को उकसाने का काम कर रहे हैं। They are inciting the people of the peaceful people of the country.
नड्डा जी को वस्तुस्थिति की जानकारी नहीं है। मैं उनसे कहूंगा कि वो कुछ अपने कार्यकर्ताओं से अलग अलग राज्यों से खबर मंगा लें, जानकारी ले लें।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी घटिया स्तर की राजनीति कर रही है। समाजवादी पार्टी के नेता सोनू कनौजिया, जिनका रिजॉर्ट है, जिनका गैस एजेंसी है, उनके गोदाम को लेके समस्या थी। गोदाम दूर था, जिस कारण से गोदाम के लिए दूसरी जगह का व्यवस्था लगातार उनके द्वारा की जा रही थी।
And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the Motorola legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Shivalik docks more ships en route. Modi-Plomacy clear ships path. Opposition chokes with politics? That's the question, and that's the debate on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight with me, Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, National Spokesperson and Senior Advocate from the BJP. Joining the debate tonight, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow at the IPCS, Suhail Seth, Marketing Guru, columnist. May I also add, plain speaker who doesn't mince his words. Also joining the debate, Nivan Sharma, National Spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Abbas Haider, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. But my first question goes to Sanjay Jha, Congress leader, and Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, I just want to ask you, at a time when India is trying everything in the book of diplomacy, everything in the book of perseverance to try and ease the situation that has been created by this conflict, which is not of India's making. Is this the time for the Congress party to put out tweets of 2011 of Jammu and Kashmir, for the national spokesperson and the head of the media department, Pawan Khera, to spread rumors by saying the ships that have left the Straits of Hormuz for India are not meant for India, they are headed to the United States? Why would you actually indulge in such rumor mongering? Is that something that earns you political brownie points, or do you really want anarchy and total chaos within India?
Navika, good evening to you and to all my panelists on the program tonight. Simply put, there is a problem, and this is a problem which is being felt all over the world. The question that I think, frankly speaking, mystifies a lot of us, and I'm not saying that as being a critique of the government, which I am, because I think this is a disastrous and incompetent government, is why is this government stonewalling a reality? If there is a problem, the first thing any government, a responsible political party, ought to do is to acknowledge that there is a serious challenge. I have always found this about Mr. Modi's government. They want to be so, macho, muscular all the time that they will keep the people of India in the dark. COVID is a great example, by the way, Navika. I mean, the government keeps on saying that we lost 500,000 people, and they contested the actual figures given by the WHO and other international agencies that talked about over 1 million deaths. We ignored it because it suited the political narrative. Demonetization, the black money never came. People suffered, the economy bled. The government is not willing to acknowledge that no black money came. Migrants died. We produced a great film that did very well internationally, but the government turned a blind eye. I have never seen any government, and I'm saying this without any prejudice or bias in the history of any democracy in the world. The world can see those lines. You know, you and I have debated this earlier in your shows.
So, Dr. Sanjay Jha, I don't know who told you that India doesn't know there is a problem. Of course there is a problem. There is a war going on. There are ships that haven't been able to come out. Some countries, and Iran has stated only countries that are not their enemies are being allowed to go. Of course there is a problem. The government has come out and stated commercial cylinders will face a problem. However, domestic, they are trying to create a situation of supply where domestic households don't have a problem. But Gaurav Bhatia, Sanjay Jha still believes that you haven't stated the problem adequately, and therefore you're holding the people of the country in the dark.
So, Navika, let me start by saying that when Narendra Modi ji on the 13th of March 2026 spoke to the Iranian president, Mr. Pezeshkian, it is a result of that. And it is very clear what is the significance of Shivalik coming to India. Number one, the diplomacy of India and Shri Narendra Modi ji has got a thumbs up. Two, in principle, it's not just Shivalik. The Indian ships would be able to sail through the Strait of Hormuz and they would be able to come to India. That is a very big victory. Please remember there are other ships also in the line. And tomorrow, Nanda Devi might also come to India. Third, it also shows the relationship that exists between India and Iran. And why is it possible? It is possible because of a very balanced international policy, foreign policy that we have. You can see how the opposition, especially the Congress, Samajwadi Party, TMC, have been pushing India to side with one country and condemn the other. But Narendra Modi ji, with his clarity of thought and vision, has ensured that we do whatever is best for India and for our citizenry. Second, why is it a big failure for the Congress? I'll tell you. It clearly exposes the Congress because it is indulging in cheap and petty politics. You very rightly asked Mr. Sanjay Jha, and I think Rahul Gandhi should come out today. Rather than whining at the success of Indian diplomacy, he should tell every Indian, why was this 2011 picture when the Congress was in power tweeted to create panic, to spread anarchy? What kind of propaganda politics is this? But I'm sure we will get no answers to that. Most importantly, I want to say one thing. Imagine, from the last 16 days, even India has been exposed to the consequences of this war. But has the petrol and diesel price been raised? The answer is no. Yes. The common man's interest has been protected by Shri Narendra Modi ji. Second, is there any cap on the number of LPG cylinders that one would get? No. Is there any shortage? No. There is 60 days of reserve when it comes to oil. And most importantly, the CNG supply, the LPG supply, the PNG supply, the petrol supply, and the diesel supply is stable, and there is nothing to worry. And I think this is an occasion when the opposition should also stand with Bharat, India, and not criticize the Prime Minister for their ulterior and cheap motives.
Well, let me get in Abbas Haider. Abbas Haider, the Samajwadi Party has the dubious distinction of charges being made that one of your own has been charged with hoarding LPG cylinders at a time when households are looking for LPG cylinders. The government's notification is very clear. It says commercial cylinders could face problems. Priority will be domestic cylinders. But here you have a Samajwadi Party leader who's caught so-called by the BJP, saying that there is hoarding going on. अब्बास हैदर, एक तरफ आप होर्डिंग कर रहे हैं, दूसरी तरफ आप सरकार को ब्लेम कर रहे हैं. These are tough times. There is a war. Should the opposition get away without responsibility or accountability?
Navika ji, this is a very crucial time, and we believe that the government should acknowledge that there is something is going wrong. Something is really not, what we have expected. Instead of doing this waterboutry and playing blame game. Navika ji, what you have talked about is this incident in Lucknow, whereas this gentleman who is from the Samajwadi Party, who is member of Samajwadi Party, he has got a gas agency which is very close to his resort, and the road is being constructed. An FIR has been lodged against him. The cylinders which were recovered were empty cylinders, and Navika ji, this is a matter of investigation. There is CCTV footage, so many data is available, road was getting constructed, so these cylinders were recovered. Now Navika ji, so I don't believe there is anything wrong in that, and however, the investigation will take its course, and the investigation will decide that he was wrong or not. But Navika ji, we have always stood for our country. We have stood for diversifying our energy imports, and we all know that more than 68% of our LPG import is from Qatar, UAE, and Kuwait. And we always wanted that this should be diversified. And if you talk about Saudi Arabia and Oman,
कब बोला था आपने? जरा please refer to the last time in any parliament intervention this suggestion has been given by the Samajwadi Party. Please refer to the date. I'd like to pick it out.
Navika ji, have always stood that there should be a bipartisan approach which should be taken in this, but the government is not ready to acknowledge the problem. That is a basic thing. If only they'll be ready to acknowledge the problem.
You did not make a specific recommendation on diversification. You are now saying the government should acknowledge first that there is a problem. When the government acknowledges, that is the time you will celebrate कि देखा इनसे नहीं हो पाया. अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not the impression that the opposition is giving today? That they're waiting for the government to confess there is a problem. Once that is done, they will go to town and say, dekho, they have failed.
Basically, Navika, I see their approach is they will call everything a failure. Tomorrow, if, somebody climbs Mount Everest, they'll say he'll actually fail to climb Mount Everest. We are being shown fake images of it. And then if somebody says yes, they'll say, see, we told you so. These are like the conspiracy theorists who believe Armstrong never landed on the moon and everything that was done was staged in a studio in San Francisco somewhere. Now, what do you do with people like this? On one hand, they said, remember, at the start of the war, the exact same panelists you see below here were on the exact same show saying, our diplomacy with Iran has failed. We have completely let down Iran. Then Khatibzadeh, the deputy foreign minister, came here and the Iranians are saying nice things about us. So now what is their tack now? Non-alignment has failed. Now we're doing non-alignment better than Nehru ever did during his lifetime because we don't have crackpots like Krishna Menon going and ruining our reputation abroad.
Okay.
So what do they do? So what do we do? So then they start screaming, everything else is failing, LPG is failing. Now, what do we know about LPG? They have created basically this is how hoarding and shortages start in this country. There is a supply side, there is a supply problem, there is not a storage problem. There is not a problem of storage of LPG or in fact of LPG coming in at the moment. But what have they done? They've created an afwa where people start hoarding. You create these things, right? Next, they will then, the moment this LPG shortage, so-called shortage, gets over, Navika, mark my words, it will move on to something else. They will then say we have angered America and Israel. Suddenly, Israel from being enemy number one will become our great friend. And then it will require Gideon Sar to come here for them to move on to something else. They are those typical people who will find nothing good about anything.
Absolutely, well said. But let me
who go to people's houses and say the water was delicious.
Well, let me pull out this press release. 13 September 2012. No war. No war whatsoever in 2012. What is the press release stating? It says there is the depreciation of the Indian rupee against the US dollar. The uncompensated under recovery causes loss to the public sector oil marketing companies. The CCPA has taken the decision to do what? To cap the availability of LPG cylinders at 6 per year. Matlab, you will only get 6 cylinders in a year. Yahan, it is now, booking has been increased from 21 to 25 days, and Sanjay Jha, the whole opposition is up in arms. Hai, kya kar diya, shortage. Please look at your own press release of 2012. There was no war at that point. And you did not answer the question on why Pawan Khera is spreading fake news by saying that these ships were not meant for India but for the United States. Should the Congress party apologize?
But Navika, here are 2 points. I'm glad you mentioned that, because at that point I was the official spokesperson for the party. Let me make the point very clear. There was full 100% transparency from the Dr. Manmohan Singh government. We acknowledged the risk. There was this whole talk of the Asian currencies feeling a lot of stiff pressures on devaluation. There was impact. Oil prices were considerably high. We acknowledge that. Here are 2 points that are very important in your discussion tonight, Navika. It's important. Point number 1, don't forget this. Under UPA, our dependence on oil imports were in the range of 75%. Under Modi, it has become 90%. So here is the responsibility of the Modi government. You have become more import dependent and you don't have enough strategic reserves. India is the second largest consumer of LPG as an importer, second largest. And 60% of our needs are actually imported. Where is your preparation?
Okay.
We can't say that oil is okay.
All right. Why don't you answer? Why don't you answer the complete dependence of the Congress party on fake news? Pawan Khera and his statement.
Well, let me tell you one thing.
Answer the question that I'm asking fairly and squarely, Sanjay Jha. No whataboutery.
Well, I haven't read Pawan's tweet, but one thing which I can tell you,
I'm reading it out to you.
There has been an attempt by the BJP to say that the Iranians have approved the imports. There is no official statement to that effect. Is there an official statement? Bhatia ji, 1 minute. Bhatia, can you quote to me?
This tweet is deleted now by the Congress party.
Yeah.
No, Sanjay bhai.
One thing.
No.
The picture has been deleted, but Pawan Khera said there is an atmosphere of celebration in the BJP camp because 2 Indian ships, Shivalik and Nanda Devi, carrying LPG have crossed the Strait of Hormuz. But these are headed for Jackson's USA, something anyone can easily verify on marine traffic trackers. Well, Congress party going out of its way to mislead the nation and create anarchy, create a situation of hoarding. And Sohail said, how responsible is that? Transparency that Sanjay Jha talks about and the fake news. Please respond to both of these issues I've raised.
So here, there is a simple answer to the question.
Asked of me. I've been asked the question. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So here are the things, and I said this about 2 days ago on your program. There is something radically wrong with the Congress party. And I don't mean every member of the Congress party. There is a visceral hatred for Modi, which they are entitled to have. But now that visceral hatred has morphed into a visceral hatred for everything good that is happening in India. A lot is not. But anything that is good is viewed with suspicion, it is viewed with disdain, and it is discussed in a despicable manner. That is what the Congress party has been reduced to. The party that was involved in India's freedom struggle, the party that gave great leaders to this country, has now been reduced to a sham party which indulges in the worst form of political discourse and decorum. You know, I'll tell you one thing, Navika. When Dr. Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister and Mrs. Gandhi was the chairperson of those committees, there was a certain elegance, there was a certain decency, there was a certain decorum. All that has vanished. Is this war India's war? No. Is it a war of our making? No. The entire world is bleeding. You know, someone just now sent me a whole document on the calamity, economic calamity that has struck the UAE. There is a loss of almost $1 billion a day. Citibank has asked all its people to be evacuated. Sometimes we should count our blessings with humility rather than castigate ourselves. If a ship is coming to India, it is not coming for Pawan Khera or Narendra Damodar Das Modi or Gaurav Bhatia or Abhijit Iyer Mitra. It is coming for Indians. Us pe bhi aapko gum hai. If anything happens in diplomatic terms, you say, oh, it's a failure. Today, there are only 3 people who can sit back and smile at what is going on because we have ensured some level of insulation. Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and Modi. We are not in the crosshairs of this war because it is not a war of our making. It is a war that has been thrust upon the world. America is bleeding. My advice is, rather than just sit on television panels, increase your scholarship and see what is actually happening on a day-to-day basis across the world because of Trump and because of Netanyahu. Their reasons being whatever they are. But the world is in the throes of a crisis. For God's sake, stand for your country, at least at this point in time. Hate Modi, hate the BJP. But you can't hate the idea of India.
Absolutely, and well said. 2 ships have come in. Negotiations for getting more of those 22 ships stuck there are on. Nivan Sharma in the middle of this, spreading fake news, FIRs, of hoarding being filed against politicians from reputed parties. Is this what we are demonstrating to the country? And what acknowledgement is the opposition talking about? That there is a situation of war is evident to everybody. That large part of India's fuel requirements come from the Middle East and from the Straits of Hormuz is a fact which is on record. That there is a problem and ships are not getting out is something that everybody knows. What is this acknowledgement chorus that the opposition is going on about? And does that give them a license to lie and spread fake news and spread panic?
Navika ji, opposition has been given a duty by the people of country itself to ask tough questions.
To spread panic?
No, we are not spreading panic. We are asking questions to the government, and it's not about the war. We are asking questions about our preparedness. We all knew that what is going to happen if there is a war like this. How much prepared we are asking that question. And that responsibility is given to us by the people of country. We have to do it. India needs around 80,000 tons of LPG every single day to keep a normal kitchen running. And government has failed miserably because our country is 60% dependent on imports. Didn't our government know that we are dependent on imports so much that if there is a crisis like this, then we are going to have a big crisis in our country? What did the government do to prepare?
Well,
what did the government do to prepare for the panic that has been created? What did the government do to prepare for the reserves? Where are the reserves?
Well, 16 days into the war, the government has made many statements in parliament and outside, but Gaurav Bhatia, the opposition, not convinced, not impressed. Please respond.
Navika, first of all, do you know Bernol is out of stock today? अभी तो शिवालिक आया है और बता रहे हैं कल नंदा देवी आएगा. When Nanda Devi would come, what would happen to Pawan Khera, Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, Arvind Kejriwal? They will be not able to even come out and face the people of India. Now let me respond one by one to everyone. Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. We are asking questions, it is our duty. Very good. 10th of March 2026, S Jaishankar-ji was answering all the relevant questions and also apprising the opposition and the treasury benches. What are the preparations? How are we facing this situation? Do you know what was happening from the opposition camp? Slogan shouting, and then they left the house. So much so for asking questions. Second, to my younger brother, please don't speak in between. Navika, please ask him to be quiet. I did not interrupt him. I deserve the same courtesy. Please.
Yes.
To my younger brother, Abbas Haider, last time on Times Now, I was very harsh on him. I would only say a hug to you. But Abbas, do you know there's another leader of Samajwadi Party called Abdul Rehan? he was holding 55 gas cylinders in Hapur. A case has been registered against him. Now I want to ask, the Lucknow incident you mentioned yourself, why would a Samajwadi Party leader, Abdul Rehan, be holding 55 gas cylinders and then selling them in the black market for profits? That's very cheap. I think that's the kind of DNA Samajwadi Party is made up of.
But you should also acknowledge Mr. Santosh Kumar, who is Vice President of Bhagalpur Bharatiya Janata Party. 37 cylinders were discovered from his house.
Navika,
allow me to you've taken the name of their leader, they are taking the name of your leader. Respond to that as well, Gaurav Bhatia ji.
Is this your level of competition? Which political parties' leaders are holding?
But once,
is that what you want?
No.
Once I'm... Yeah. Once I'm done with my reply,
we want that we should get off this bottom.
One at a time, Abbas Haider, just please, I'll give you time to counter. Please hold on. Take a deep breath.
As promised by Shri Narendra Modi ji.
Gaurav.
Yes. Now, very importantly, diversification is the key word. We all know that it was around 65 to 70% of the gas used to come through Strait of Hormuz. Out of that, now 70% has been diversified. So that is the change. And second, the home production of gas, Navika, in the last 5 days has been increased by 30%. Is it not credible? Does it not show a spine? Does it not show willpower of the government? And I must respond to what Sanjay Jha said. Sanjay Jha, you say it's a crisis. Rahul Gandhi says it's a crisis. As an Indian, I will tell you something. It's a challenge. It's not a crisis. And challenges we will overcome only if we come together for the sake of the country. You don't have to criticize, condemn, and perpetually be pessimistic about every decision that Shri Narendra Modi ji takes. And last, a couplet. बर्बादे गुलिस्ता करने को एक ही उल्लू काफी था. कांग्रेस की हर शाख पे उल्लू बैठा है. अंजामे कांग्रेस क्या होगा?
Well, Sanjay Jha counter. Abbas coming to you. Sanjay Jha first.
Yeah, Navika, very quickly. वो एक उल्लू कौन है वो तो दुनिया जानती है. But let me answer your question very quickly, Gaurav. You had a warning long time ago. Everyone knows. One minute. There was a 12-day war in 2025. And every day thereafter, I mean, I'm assuming that Jaishankar follows what's happening internationally. Everyone knew there would be a second war. When Mr. Modi went to Tel Aviv, Navika, it was all over newspapers, all over all channels in different international, including in Indian media, that a war was imminent. Mr. Modi goes to Tel Aviv. You think he was not aware that...
You raise this point time and again, but hasn't India demonstrated the fact that it is friends with Israel and it is able to handle its relationship with Iran as well? Abhijit Iyer Mitra, how much more demonstration of having a non-aligned position should be made to convince the Congress party?
The point is you should do nothing to convince the Congress party because they're unconvincible. A party that has a leader who keeps losing election after election after election and can't even correct itself. Bhai, wo दूसरों को क्या correct करेगा? The Congress should hold itself up as a model of, Navika, there are 101 ways in which the Congress could have actually put the government on the mat over this issue had they played their cards right. From day one, they have been choosing such pathetic arguing points. Their media strategy is as bad as their national leader. The leader of the opposition.
Well, they don't even want to hear. And Abbas Haider, that is my question to you. You keep saying they should come, they should acknowledge. Arey bhai, when the petroleum minister was speaking in the house, there was ho halla. Nobody wanted to hear him. Aap sunoge, to you will find the gaps and you will ask questions. You don't want to hear the foreign affairs minister. You don't want to hear the petroleum minister. Then where is the information and knowledge going to come to you from?
Mind you, when he was given a chance to speak, he went on this tour saying, I'm not being allowed to speak. Then when he was given time to speak, what did he say? He starts abusing, starts using words like nonsense and things like that in parliament, calls the speaker yar and God knows what.
Well, Abbas Haider, coming to you, Suhail. Abbas Haider.
Navika ji, first of all, Navika ji, first of all, asking question was not allowed when the Minister of External Affairs was speaking. Second thing, and the most important thing, Navika ji, is, Iran and Israel, they are not just fighting war for past 17 days. They were on verge of war for more than, for more than 2-3 years. We all knew about it. Everybody.
So what do you want? What do you want the country to do? To step back and sit and do nothing and wait for the war to happen? Suhail said, is that what they are advising?
I'm telling you.
Sometimes temper your statements with some level of intellect. Oh, we all know that there was a war for 3 years. We are not Nostradamuses here. I want to touch upon what Abhijit said. The problem is not the asking of questions. The problem is your unwillingness to wait for an answer and your unwillingness to believe any answer that is given your way. A. B. Abbas mentioned that Jaishankar was not allowed to ask questions. For God's sake, you unintelligent people, not here, there, understand one thing. Every question has a context. If the Foreign Affairs Minister did not issue a statement, what would the context of your questions be? People don't have a goddamn brain anymore. The statement was meant to be placed before the House so that the House could discuss the statement and therefore ask the relevant questions. Do you ask questions if you don't know what you're going to ask?
Absolutely. They don't want to hear the answers. They want to only ask the questions. They want to give fake news. They want to stand out and question the government. The government is balancing US, Israel on one side, Iran on the other. Those results of the diplomacy showing on our ports even as we speak, yet the opposition remains unconvinced. So we did a snap poll and we asked the question, as Modi-Plomacy clears Indian ships' path through the Strait of Hormuz, is opposition choking diplomacy with politics? Well, the country knows it. People understand this. Yes, say 88% of the people. No, say 8%. Can't say 4%. 88% of the people believe that this country is being choked by the opposition, which refuses to see reason. In a state of war, in dire situation in the world, we would do well to hang in there together, to look at India's interests, not just poll interests of every single political party. Let's leave it at that. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.